gentlemen, welcome to the very first, well, it's episode 8, but it's the first here at our new home, the most amazing hotel called the Catalyst Hotel.
You're ready.
Do you love it? Are you enjoying this place? Are you enjoying this space?
Man.
You love it?
What does the Catalyst do?
Well, if I had to go to biology, I'll tell you what the catalysts do. But this is not about that catalyst.
It's called science.
This is a hotel. This is a hotel. You know what I mean? So welcome everybody. We got a different thing going on today. We got the audience up in the house having some good food. But you know, as we, say what's up, y'all?
Audience!
It's not they think I'm lying. I'm lying. So we're bringing sexy back to basketball, ladies and gentlemen. This is what sexy basketball looks like. And we had president who was going to bless us with his presence. Unfortunately, he could not make it. Called him. He said he'll call me back, so we'll see if he makes it later. But hey, we are not rolling along. The show must go on. We got Q, we got Juice, and yes, of course, we got the chairperson. They said I must say the chairperson, not chair lady. So chairperson of South African Women Basketball. Welcome to the break.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome to the break, because now this is special for you, for the break, because it's probably the first time we get to talk about this. You were recently elected as a South African Women Basketball Chairperson, and you get to make the debut of the show here on the break. So welcome and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
But before we do anything else, as tradition.
Tradition.
Bring on the drinks. Champagne, please. Yo, Juice, hit me with something nice, man. Let's open this thing up. We got the ones and twos. Juice is on the ones and twos today, y'all.
Always evolving.
We celebrating. We got Moye in the house. Is it Moyet or Moye? Moye Chandon.
It is Moye.
Moye.
They say Much also. I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen. Moye Chandon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
There are varied responses coming from the crowd as well. They're saying, yay, mood drink.
We're saying hip hip hooray to what? To our first birthday. What's the birthday song, man?
The birthday song is there, but it's distorting the things, man. But we go. Yeah, we're gonna fix it all in there, though.
All right.
Fix it all in there, though.
To our very first episode at the Catalyst here in Santon.
Speeding up the reaction.
Yes.
Speed up the reactions.
Speeding up the reaction. He's talking about biology. Oh, we gotta look at each other in the eye, right? What happens if you don't look at each other in the eye?
Well.
Cheers, crowd!
To the break!
All right, there you go. I normally don't drink when we're doing the show, because
can you get water for Teddy?
when that happens, man, you know, this show can go backwards. So I'm gonna try and control myself so we can have the show and finish. But after that, it's a party, y'all.
Salute.
Yo, Juice. What you want to say, man? I think we got a little something that we got to say that we heard from the BSA.
Oh, yeah, man. We got breaking news the other day about the passing of one of our family members in the basketball family. And I think, you know, it makes it very more sentimental to have the chairperson of the Women's Association. Then perhaps you can even talk about it and take us through, you know. If you can just give us a few words on Zanele.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always really rough when we lose someone in the basketball community like her. You know, for me as a coach, she's someone that I got to see grow up in the system, play in the junior national teams, play at under 20, and become an official. And I think, you know, we don't always have a lot of women that we can point out and say we've seen them come through the system and we're seeing them do great work now. So it's definitely an unfortunate loss for us, and, you know, condolences to her loved ones.
Salute. You know, I got to chat with some of the friends within the basketball fraternity, you know, and everyone is speaking very warmly and sincerely about her, you know, as one of the just best personalities to be around. She was just officiating in the last USAs that we just had. So, you know, she was the life of the party, literally, according to some of the people that knew her more personally. So, absolute, to say to your words, condolences to the family, to the whole of the Eastern Cape, you know, because this is someone that has inspired kids coming out over there and doing their thing. So absolutely a big loss to basketball.
What a somber moment, man. Here I am going about, hey, shorty, it's your birthday, but then we have to humble ourselves to life itself.
Absolutely,
it's not
you know,
guaranteed, and we always have to remember that. That's why, you know, in basketball, you got to live your best life, man. This is what we're doing. So, condolences to the family, from the break, from the audience and everybody. But the show's got to go on, so...
Yeah, our condolences, yeah. You know, with the basketball community is small, so when we feel a loss, or when we have a loss, it feels like it affects us all. I might not have known Zanele personally so well, but I've seen the reaction from people that are close to me, and I understand that it's a huge loss, and especially because where we're going in terms of women's basketball, and I'm glad that Mpumi is here to help us understand this, and we will move on. But our sincere condolences on behalf of the break and the basketball community, and her loss is felt.
Now, maybe a moment of silence, and then we can start the show on a higher note, step it up a little bit.
Salute. Salute.
Let's have the moment of silence, please. Right, we're back. Thank you very much for that. Audience, thank you very much. We're going to try and keep it all interactive. So if you hear something you like or you don't like, you'll have your chance to say something or the other. Like I said, our president, Tshwane, is not here. We were expecting him. We're hoping he'll still make the show. But right now, I'll ask you to introduce our beautiful guests from SAWBA.
You gave me the tough job, you know, as the host. But really, this is a woman who's been instrumental in the game, and I think not just women's basketball game, in the game of basketball, talent identification, coaching, as a player, administratively. I've had the pleasure of working with her in a role where we administrated a BNL team for just a year, and then she went on and went to another organization. That's a story for another day. But now she's picked up the role of the chairperson of the South African Women's Basketball Association, which is a newly formed organization with I think she will explain a little bit more of their roles. I don't want to put words in the mouth of the organization, but women's basketball is one of the most underappreciated sports, I believe, in the country. And so to help me unpack this, or help us unpack this, we have her here, and the Queen is in the building. Welcome, Ms.
You always make me sound so great, Joe. I appreciate it. I'm always like, oh, he's talking about me? That's awesome. I appreciate that, Q. I really do. Thank you. And more than just the sport being underappreciated, I think that a lot of women in basketball have been underappreciated. And, you know, I think when we started SAWBA, it was that core. You know, it was a bunch of women who've benefited from basketball and who really stood up and said, hey, what are we going to do about the next generation? You know, we're not in a place that's great right now for women. We're not in a place right now where we feel like the girls coming up are getting the opportunities that we've had. So we've got to do something about it. And, you know, I think that's what's awesome is I'm part of a great group of people who've done fantastic work this year, who've really kind of grinded it out, you know, in tough circumstances.
That's a huge break.
Salute. A very big one.
And this is what the show is about, you know. You guys, actually, I remember when Cornelia called me and he was like, you know, Cabby, there's something, we gotta do something about what's happening in basketball. And I did not know one day we'll be sitting here talking about SAWBA, because back then I was also thinking, you know, we talk about these things, you know, on the court, just before the game, after the game and whatever, but no one actually does anything about it. And that's really where the whole idea of the brick started, to say, let everybody bring their brick and let's build this game one brick at a time. But before we even go into the detail, introduce yourself, man. You know, we want to know where you come from, what your surname is, what you were doing when you were young, where you went to school, how come basketball became a thing for you, what you're doing with basketball outside of your chairpersonship.
That is a lot. Do you have enough time? I don't know if you have enough time.
We have to do a summarized version.
I'm going to keep it short. I mean, basketball for me has been, a lifelong passion.
What's your name? What's your
Nompumelelo, Ramatsoga.
Where you come from?
Where do I come from? A resident of Pretoria.
Okay.
You know, that's where my roots are. That's where my roots are. You know, Limpopo is really where I'm from. It's where my family's from, where my parents are from.
Right.
Yeah, and that's
where
you know.
Limpopo. I mean, people must know. Ki Ramukupani.
Ramachale.
You know what I'm saying? Ramashashani. Come on now.
Moria.
Come on now. We gotta
Gianni.
go back. People from Limpopo
So-
are watching this.
High.
Yes. Yes. We
Yeah,
wanna know.
Bagambek. So,
Where?
yeah.
Bagambek.
Bagambek. So, past Mokopane,
Right,
on the other side in the village is that side.
There you
So,
go.
right now we have a house.
Naga kya gai kya Ramashasha.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, so,
There you go.
You know,
we
so
can talk, we
it's-
can talk about that. I mean, like if we start about that, I can go on and on and on. But let me let you.
yeah. What else do you want to know? So, basketball for me, and I say this a lot, but Susan de Brain, she introduced me to basketball. You know,
Oh, Susan.
Mrs. de Susan de Brain. She was
legend.
She
Yeah,
was
she's
my
a legend.
introduction to basketball, and it's been great because she's also just been there to mentor me the entire journey through. You know, someone who I still have a great relationship with now.
Was it at Vasity, at high school?
No, I was in primary school, so St. Mary's.
Primary?
Yeah, St. Mary's
Wow,
DSG.
she's been at it.
So she started as the head of sport at St. Mary's DSG when I started there in grade 5, and you know, love at first sight for me in basketball. So
Nice.
yeah, that's where my journey started.
Okay. And so you played, you coached, you reffed, you were an administrator.
Refereeing, never. My officiating skills are not it. But I've done a lot of everything else. You know, I coached for a while. I ran the program at St. Benedict's. You know, Q chatted a bit about us administrating a BNL team together in the very first season of BNL.
Right.
Yeah, so
But you were instrumental also at WITS. I mean, come on now, that's a big
I was
program,
the
man.
assistant coach at WITS
There
for a
you go,
long
come
time.
on, that's
and
a big thing.
it was a really great time in my life, and now I've transitioned back into coaching women's basketball at that level. So I'm the assistant coach at the University of Pretoria. So
Audience, come on now. Come on. Come on now.
A basketball resume is it can't be brought into question because if you have any sort of doubts about who we're interviewing or who is here, just all you have to do is look at some of the names she's coached or the talent identification, and again I like to say that it's across women and men's spectrum because you're not particularly biased when it comes to talent. You just recognize it on the court, and that's a skill and it's an appreciation because when you look at our Polokwane Trailblazers roster in 2013, and I was just going to name drop, we had some players there, and the roster was pretty good, and a large part of that was because Pumi was like, this is the person that we need. This is the person that we need. Okay, great. Let's make it work. And that's
I
what-
mean, Limpopo at some point used to have like one of the greatest programs, especially in was it the high school or was it under 18?
oh man, yeah. And you know it's funny. So I played for Gauteng in juniors, and we always knew, you know, and I have a heart for Limpopo, which is why I played there at senior. But you always knew the style of basketball Limpopo brought.
Right.
You knew it. You know they were going to run the whole day. You knew, like, if you're playing Limpopo, you better rest up because it's going to be a long day. But they did. They've always had a good basketball tradition and good development. You know, and you look around and there are a lot of women who, I mean, we dominated as a senior team for a while.
You did.
I love it.
Let's direct it because I know we've got time. So the South African Women's Basketball Association, the thinking behind that and why you exist now.
But you know, before we do that, I think we have to take a break because I'm hungry. You hungry? I know you said you hungry.
I am.
You hungry? You hungry? Right?
I got the drinks.
And somebody in our audience, you must take pictures, guys. This thing is not just about, come on now. You guys, I mean, like we're talking here, we're trying to be cool. Where are the pictures to prove that we were here, man? Somebody must take the picture. Please, we're gonna take a break. Where is our food? It's supposed to be here, you know, because we want to also introduce the fact that we at the Cashew restaurant at the Catalyst Hotel in Sandton, 100 Vierda Road. They got some of the best rooms, man. If you come out here, best room, best champagne.
Man. All I'm saying is, baby, you need to arrive here real quick, and we're gonna check out some of the rooms.
Oh, you're gonna check in tonight? You're gonna
I
check
hope
in?
you're going to be chatting X's and O's.
This right here, it's all about basketball lifestyle, man. It's not just about the game, it's about the lifestyle. We live this thing, and that's why we're here. We really, really appreciate everybody coming out. We really appreciate you coming out. We're gonna take a break. Am I right here? We're gonna take a break. We'll be right back, right after this. So, take us out with
What up, what up? We back at it.
We back at it.
Word.
Thank you very much. They listen. I think they're having a little too much of this, baby. What do they call it?
Yeah, we call it cointrai.
Cointrai?
It's like français.
Come on.
No, man, I'm telling you, man. Cointrai. Yeah, it's cointrai. It's got a little la français to it.
Yeah,
I speak French now and then.
Yeah?
Cointrai.
Cointrai.
I'm gonna go get the ball. It's cointrai. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? I went to school for this. What you doing? I went to school for this. What you
This is
doing?
not appropriate for where we are. Right?
It's a hotel.
This is what happens when you get too many of these things. The champagne, the cointrai. This is what you get after that. Anyway, welcome back to the break. We're building basketball in a fun way. We got Bumi up in the house. She's going to tell us amazing things about South African Women Basketball Association. But yeah, let me tell you something. If you want a cool place to be, the Catalyst is where it's at.
Salute.
We got the Cashew Restaurant. We got amazing people around here. And yeah, it's in the center of Stanton. We're bringing sexy back. You're cute. Let's go.
I guess I'm left with the serious segment because this is the most important part of the show. Because South African Women's Basketball Association, I believe, was established to help the growth of the game. And I believe one of the most underappreciated parts of any sport. So women's basketball has the difficult job of competing with other sports that have might be seen higher tiered in primary and high school. So your job, Mpumi, is first of all to attract women away from netball, which is tough, and it's a real thing. It's a real thing. But why was the Women's Basketball Association established? Can we have that conversation?
Yeah, and I don't think it's so much about attracting people away from other sports, but it's about growing what we have in basketball already. There is a lot of female participation in basketball, and we've seen that. We've seen that in the number of women who've come together to say, hey, we want to put our hands up to do the work. So when we were born, it was out of frustration. It was out of a frustration of feeling as though we're not being seen and we're not being prioritized in the basketball community. And so it was, what can we do for ourselves together? How can we come together? How can we make a difference? And so we were formed outside of formal structures. We kind of just came together and we said, let's do it. Let's do the work. And so, we are trying to find a way to have a relationship with Basketball South Africa, because we have this understanding that they're the custodians of basketball in the country. How do we have a relationship that is beneficial to women on a larger scale? How do we grow the game?
So, that's a question that you really have to answer because you're the chairperson, right? So it's tough because let's look at it from a perspective of, okay, you're formed outside of the structure, but you have membership, you probably have a constitution. What does it take to form an association for people who don't know?
But also to add to that, sorry Q, you guys had an amazing election. It was done virtually. Tell us about that. Wow. I was asked to be an observer, and I was totally impressed. It was amazing. How did you all come up with that, and was it all constitutional? Was it accepted? Was it fair? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I have to say, one thing is our team is very efficient, and I have to commend the women that I work with at SAWBA. There's just been really about, one, dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's, and about being as efficient as possible as we can be. So we got together, we formed it, we worked for months on a constitution. So obviously COVID's been difficult because we haven't been able to be on the ground as much as we'd like, but it's really given us the opportunity to form everything behind the scenes in terms of having a constitution, then having an election, making sure we're registered as an NPC, and now going into the process of trying to become tax exempt so that people who are donating to us, can have a tax exemption. So we've been doing all that work, our legal and ethics, putting together the different sort of policies that we want. And an important one for us was a gender policy in terms of how the treatment of women is, and what we're doing in situations that signal some sort of, violence towards women or some, disregard for or respect for women, because that is something that a lot of people have encountered in this space. So how are we dealing with it if we get a complaint from a member to say, hey, I've had another member sexually harass me? What does that look like? Because we are open to having men as membership. So it's been putting together those things behind the scenes so that, putting together financial processes. What does it look like? We might not have a bunch of money now, but when we do have a bunch of money, have we put that in place? Do we know how to take care of it? Can we, speak to our donors and say, this is where we're going? So it's been hard work putting all that stuff in place so that we're ready to go.
So here's a really tough question, I think. What's the role within the current structure of the way you see South African basketball and your understanding of it? What is the role of South African Women's Basketball Association and how do you fit within that?
That is a really good question. That's a conversation that we're trying to have with Basketball South Africa right now. We spent a lot of time trying to engage Basketball South Africa prior to the elections, and now since the elections, we're stepping that up a notch to say, what does our role look like? We're not trying to replace Basketball South Africa. We're trying to have a relationship with Basketball South Africa that's beneficial to us, but also beneficial to women in general. It was disappointing to see an executive with one woman on it. We're saying there are women who are ready to lead in basketball, and for whatever reason, those women have not come through the structures. But how do we remedy that? How do we create a situation where you have female voices speaking on basketball? It's not good enough that there's only one woman in a national executive, and that woman's responsibility is the women's desk. What does that say to younger women?
Listen to one of the ladies on the executive saying, I agree.
Amen to that.
Amen to that.
Absolutely.
I mean, what are we saying then about women and leading in that regard?
So here's another question: is that it's South African Women's Association, Women's Basketball Association, but I feel like Southern African would probably accomplish more because their gender roles and skills and administrative individuals, administratively skilled individuals that could probably benefit from your expertise and you could benefit from theirs. Do you see this solely as a South African endeavor, or you want to try and branch out a little further?
So, just for correction, it's not South African, it's South Africa Women's Basketball Association. And the reason we were very deliberate about having it be South Africa was it was about connection to the country, but it wasn't necessarily about being South African, if that makes sense. Because it's about the fact that there are women in this country involved in basketball that are not necessarily South African, but also we have South African women abroad who are a part of it. So if you look at our membership, we have membership in North America. With South African women who are abroad and wanting to give back to that. So that's a really big part of it, is that we're a global organization in that sense.
Wow.
So, terms in terms of how do people become a member, and what does membership entail? As you said, men can become members, but let's work from your primary target audience. If I were to become a member, what would it mean, and how can I contribute to your association?
That is a great question. I love it. In terms of membership, it's really easy to sign up and be a member. We do still have the link up on all our socials and that sort of thing. And really, being a member brings you into the conversation, right? It gives you a voice to say, what is the direction this organization is taking? It gives you the opportunity to hold us accountable as a board, but also to get involved. I spoke about the women I work with, and that's not just speaking about the people who sit on the board. You have, I'm going to single her out, but Vuyiso Mandas has been fantastic for us. She doesn't appear as someone who sits on the board, but she's someone who helped set up our website in a big way. She did a lot of the design. On a week-to-week basis, she's someone who is designing posters, making sure that our events online are going according to plan. So really, as well, it's a call to our membership to say, you don't have to sit on the board to get involved. You have skills, donate those skills, bring your time, and let's grow it together. Bring your brick. Bring your brick to SAWBA too, and let's grow it.
Absolutely, love it. Absolutely love it.
I love it.
Wow.
Man, this is impressive. Look, where do you find the time? And I think that's something that we're going to probably discuss in the next segment. The biggest issue that I've felt that basketball is probably needing is the time. You put 1% into anything, you get 1% back. Where do you get the time to actually get everything that you need to do to actually work as planned?
The only way you find the time is to surround yourself with people who do the work. There is not a chance that myself and 2 other people could have brought SAWBA off the ground, right? But we have so much commitment. We have so much commitment from people who sit on our board. We have so much commitment from our members who sit in subcommittees. That you never feel overwhelmed by the work. There's a lot of work that's happening, but you never feel overwhelmed by it because everybody is really pulling their weight and putting in their effort. And the great thing has been that when people are feeling overwhelmed, they're able to say, but we're also able to keep each other accountable. When the work's not getting done, people are being kept accountable. And so you can say, where do you find the time? But when you have people who are committed to the cause, you have people who are really putting their backs into it as well, you find the energy and you find the time.
And in terms of the election process, was it this type of person should go for this type of position on the basis of the skills they have? Or how was it defined as to the executive committee?
So what we did is we had everybody who was nominated. First, we sent out a call to our members to say, who would you like to nominate for these different positions? This is what, according to our constitution, these are the positions that are there. So who would you like to nominate? We then went back and asked people to accept their nominations along with, a CV. So people put together their CVs and we sent them out to members. We distributed those to the members prior to that elective meeting. And so they were able to come into the meeting already having an idea of who's standing for what and what that person's abilities and skills are. And then we had in the election, like you said, it was quick and easy. We hopped online, everybody had the information they needed. We used polls on the Zoom call to be able to have those elections. We had our observers there so that we had, people who were independent of the process. And that's how we did it.
Man, that is 22nd century stuff. Well done to you.
And I think more than anything, this is where you give, you take your hats off to the administrative ability of the woman, and not only in just the way that administration is the job of the woman, but I sit on different committees, including a transformation committee within a corporate structure. And one of the things that you always see is the organizational ability of the ladies, and I keep looking at the Women's Association and I'm like, wow, that's a very powerful body. And if used correctly by the biggest basketball structures, we can gain a lot from them. And just here with how easy they went into an election and they were able to, get things done. So from where I'm sitting, I'd just definitely like to take my hat off to the ladies and, hats off, and we will continue to actually get their backs.
But now, the big question is, why aren't you part of Basketball South Africa?
That's a great question. I mean, we obviously, like I said to you, our whole point has been to say, how can we assist Basketball South Africa? We want to be in a position where we have a mutually beneficial relationship with Basketball South Africa. That's important to us. We understand how basketball globally in terms of structure works, and we understand that without a functioning national federation, we can only go so far. We can only take our vision so far. We can only take the things we want to do so far. So it's something we're working on to say, what does that look like? It's obviously got to be a two-way conversation, and it started to become that kind of conversation.
I actually don't even know how you become part of Basketball South Africa. So do you have an idea in terms of the constitution of Basketball South Africa how you become a member?
So I don't know that in terms of the way the constitution sits right now, we can be an independent member.
Because there's associate members, so it's your masters, your USA, schools, SANDF, and wheelchair basketball. Those are associate members. Then you have special member, which I think is being changed to associate member, which is BNL, and then you have the provinces. So you will come in as?
So that's the conversation that we're having, is what does it look like going forward? They obviously now have a women's commission that has a head of a women's commission appointed. So, what does our relationship look like? We're saying to you, we have a membership, this is what we'd like to do, this is where our strength is, this is what we would like our role to be. How do we sit around and speak about how we envision this relationship looking going forward?
All right. Let's hold it off there. we're gonna take time out, take a little break, and when we come back, we're gonna break it down exactly what we see or what we're hoping to know about how you guys are gonna change all of this that we're seeing about women basketball and how it's gonna be greater than great. So we're gonna be right back, but for now, you guys can have like a little sips and enjoy the cashew and the catalyst.
The contraire.
The contraire.
The contraire.
We'll be back.
Contraire in German.
Now enjoyment.
My enjoyment.
We're supposed to come back with a little cool music, and now this guy's thing
Coming back with the drinks. Coming back with the drinks.
Catalyst, please don't bring no more drinks here. This is wrong.
The drinks.
You know what I'm saying? If you're at a job and you're drinking, this is wrong. This is what happens.
This is why they tell you don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and work. 'Cause now this guy, all of a sudden, we were supposed to come back with a little jam. You know?
And beard implies smooth. And,
Actually, cut. Get this sorted, man.
No, it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen.
We keep rolling.
We keep rolling. Right, welcome back. We're still at the Catalyst, the best place in Sandton. If you want to come have a good time,
Salute.
stay at a Catalyst, enjoy some, beautiful accommodation, catch a restaurant, good food. What do you call this?
Contraire.
Come to the Catalyst.
Contraire over here.
I hope you enjoy your drinks. We have one of the best guests today, and thank you very much for making it out here, and welcome Umi. And the break is just about building basketball. It's a beautiful space to be in. I'm glad to be here. No one is getting paid to be here. You're not getting paid. Hey, by the way, audience, there's a key under your seat. You get a bet. Next time when you come around, maybe. But yeah, we're going right back to basketball, and I think the most important thing that Q and Juice are going to take up with you is what next. We talk about these associations, we talk about positions, we talk about whether you're the right person or not. But the truth is, at the bottom of all of this, somebody must do the work and somebody must perform so that you guys can actually do something that everyone can see.
Yeah, absolutely. And our big thing at SAWBA is we have this Olympic vision, right? So we have on our dream board, how do we get a women's South African basketball team to the Olympics? And we understand that that's not in the next 5, 10, maybe even 15 years. But we're saying, what decisions are we making now as an organization that's going to help to build that in 30 years' time? What are we doing today to help the talent that is 14 to 18 years old, that in 30 years time, we can say, hey, we have enough technical ability, we have enough ability in the players, they've had enough exposure, competition, whatever. So we make our decisions now knowing that our big ticket item is we're going to get a South African team to the Olympics. How do we make those decisions?
And what are the decisions?
Man, it's investing. It's investing in basketball. It's investing in young women. One of the things we're working towards is having camps in each of the provinces. How are we upscaling in each of the provinces? We've worked on an ambassadors program. How do we get feet on the ground in each of the provinces? That SAWBA's funding, but how do we get activity and activate that for women in each of the provinces? How do we then bring that talent to a national stage? How do we then get those young women at that age to get input from the best minds in basketball on a national stage? And then how are we exporting that talent? You know, you look at teams that have been successful on the continent. You look at the Nigerian women's team. A lot of those women have had the opportunity to play abroad. A lot of those women are you know, first generation American of Nigerian descent, that sort of thing. How do we begin to make that work? You know, there are a bunch of young men, South African young men playing abroad, but we don't have that many women. When I look at the list of young girls that are playing abroad, you know, Rory Sang, top of that, comes out of our last under-16 team. She's now going into a DT program. But how do we get more girls opportunities? And that's been a big thing, because a lot of the women who sit around the table at SAWBA have an opportunity to play outside of these borders because of basketball. They have an opportunity to get an education abroad because of basketball. You know, so how do we continue that? How do we create those opportunities? How do we give them space? How do we help those young women understand that it's more than just basketball? Basketball is a chance to get an education. Basketball is a chance to have a professional career in some aspect, you know? And outside of, you know, basketball and giving them that, how do we as SAWBA develop those skills, right? You have incredible women sitting around the table who have great corporate careers. If a member wants to come in and wants to learn about finance and they volunteer to sit in finance committee, they're learning from great minds. So how do we upskill women all around, you know, on the court, off the court, in a corporate capacity?
And Emmanuel Dwaba was the last person that I know about personally that went overseas playing basketball. And that's, I suppose you want 100 of those so that they can come represent the country.
And then the next question would be partnerships, because this sounds like it's a partnership-based organization. How important are those? And you know, how do they actually create the relationship with SAWBA?
Yeah, of course, and we are definitely in growing that. You know, how are we building those partnerships? And you know, we've had people reach out and say, you know, where are you going? How do we help you get there? And we're always welcome to having those conversations. And at the end of the day, it's prioritizing partners who share our vision for developing women, who share our vision for developing the women's game, and who share our vision for developing women not just on the court, but beyond that. You know, basketball is a vehicle at the end of the day.
We're not ending the show, but this is the question that's probably most relevant in my mind is, what's our break? How do we, as men or anybody else who want to get involved with SAWBA, get involved? Because this is ultimately what the show is about, this show. Our break. How do we help you, if we can?
That is
right here, right now. The fact that you're here, the fact that you can talk to people, and not just one person one-on-one, the fact that somebody's going to be listening to you, and you got to give, before the end of the show, you got to give people your website, how to register, how to become a member, and I suppose that is how we help. But if you're not on the break, your question is, how does men help?
Absolutely. You know, I say to you that membership is open to everybody, and part of that is we understand that we need allies to get the job done. You know, we need men who believe in the women's game, who believe in women's leadership in basketball to get that job done. So we do. We need more men to become members, but we also need more men to put up their hands and say, hey, this is my expertise. This is how I can help. Or, hey, I'm going to dig deep. You know, we have a donor program, which is people donating regularly to the organization.
Just looking for the checkbooks.
I love it. Cabby, bring out the checkbook, man. Bring it out. So even with regards to the donor program, you like the work that we're doing, donate. You know, it does not have to be that you're donating 10,000 Rand a month. You can donate 50 Rand a month, right? That's going to go a long way into helping us reach the goals that we want to reach.
Debit order.
Yes,
debit order.
Sign us up. You know.
So how do we sign up to contribute? I wouldn't mind. I mean, debit order is easy, right?
Absolutely. Get onto our website. You know, shoot us an email. We will send you those details. You know, but yeah, it's great, and it would be really great if we could get more people donating to the organization. And one of the things I have to say is absolutely impressive is that our first donors were members of our board. So the people who are doing the work right now are the people who are putting their money where their mouth is. And they're saying, I'm going to put my own money, apart from the time that I'm donating and the expertise that I'm donating, I'm taking money out of my pocket and I'm supporting this organization financially as well.
The churches will, you know, like in church, the pastors will be like, this is my tithe.
Yeah.
I'm putting the first. so everybody can do the same.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're doing. You know, we're having members who are saying, I believe in the work of this organization, and I'm going to put my money where my mouth is.
How do you feel people, or what it is that you have to say so that they can trust that the money will go to good? Because I think the biggest issue with organizations, especially non-profit organizations, and you said you are an NP?
C right now.
So
Yeah.
it's a non-profit company.
Yeah.
So it's how does that compare to an NPO?
So right now we don't have a tax exemption certificate yet.
Right.
So we're in the process of getting that and getting our status changed.
Then it become an NPO. All right. How do they trust that the money is going to go to good? How do you account as an organization for? He's going to put about 100,000. He's going to put about 150. I'm going to put. You'll see when it reflects.
I'm ready. I'm ready for these batch notifications.
How do I know that is going to good? And I'm saying it's okay for you guys to get salaries. Somebody needs to work. I don't mind salaries getting paid. I don't mind people, flying here, there, whatever. But what we don't want is, when you guys are having a board meeting and there's a moe there, and I'm like, but I'm not even in that kind of stuff. How do you manage that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And we have our first AGM coming up tomorrow night. We have our first AGM. And to all our members going into the AGM, they've received reports from myself, from our vice chair, from the heads of each of the committees. So they're coming into that AGM and they know, one, the work that each of the committees has done this year already, and they know the financial position of the organization. So all that information is going out to our members. I think one of the things that's been important to us is that open communication with members to say, this is where we are now, this is what we're doing next, to keep them updated and to know that when you go into an AGM, Cabby as a donor, as a member, is going to have a full financial report in front of him of where the money's gone. And I've said that COVID's allowed us to put in processes and to really have those things in place already. We want to show you now with the 1 cent that we have that we're following proper processes, so that when that those extra zeros clock into our bank account, we already have that to show you what we've done with what we have already.
I can confirm that the BRIC is going to donate as soon as we get that those details, the account details, and that speaks to the entire
the BRIC is
so
donating.
Yeah.
Where the BRIC get the money from?
Who are the people around here? We don't work here. The BRIC will donate.
The BRIC will
Thank
donate.
you, and
BRIC will
we
donate.
appreciate that.
Yeah, the
That's right.
on record, the BRIC will donate.
Salute.
While we are in audience, if you want to donate, you can come here and say it live. If you like what you're hearing. Like Kaibe donating as well. Tate Kaibe Molo is donating. The BRIC and Kaibe Molo is donating. Anyone, any takers, any takers? Go once, go twice.
I see it, Mr. Black.
But seriously, we will donate. Kaibe will donate. We'll share the details. And we gotta make sure that everybody knows about these details. So some people don't want to be known; they just want to do good. And hopefully, we'll, guys out there that are gonna be listening to the show will do the same. So you want to say something?
I think for me, one of the other things about the women's organization is, I've been fortunate enough to listen in on some of the online Zoom meetings that they've had. I've learned so much within those conversations. And those are part of the learnings that I gained to say, this organization is definitely going far, so far that the rest of basketball needs to follow suit. There's been so much information that is hidden within basketball that conversations such as those conversations that the women's organizations has had. One time they've had Coach Mills on the line, and there was so much information that was exchanged. Cornelia was on the line the other time. So I think
Africa, if you don't know her,
I think one of the main things is basketball needs to communicate. We need to make the information so available that the community always knows what's going on. Because now you've got such an organization that's doing so much great, and the potential there is not just sitting there for the women to gain, but for the rest of basketball. So all of us definitely need to, back it up and make sure that we put our weight into it.
hence the BRIC at the catalyst.
Hence the BRIC will be donating.
The brick is a catalyst to basketball greatness.
I love that. I love that.
Oh, he's throwing balls! Hey, what are you doing here? You need to go rap.
I love that, Juice, though, because our conversations really are about basketball. You know, it's about having those skills out there, like you're saying. You know, that when you're a coach, they tell you nothing's new, right? Everything's stolen as a coach, right? So even in basketball, it's about sharing that knowledge. And we've been so, I'm going to say, blessed to have so many minds that have donated their time to us this year. I mean, you talked about it. We had Liz, we had, you know, Benny. Like, we've had so many incredible guests on our conversations who've said, we like the work that you're doing. We're going to donate our time. We're going to come and contribute to the conversation to grow not just your organization, but women's basketball and basketball in general. So that's been a really fantastic part of this year.
Wow.
I don't think there's anything else for me to say. I think the most important thing is that we support what is growing. I know that one of the awkward conversations is that sometimes men's basketball does not support women's basketball the way that it should be, and that's a whole another brick show that we should have. I think we can find some guys to have the conversation, but this organization exists for a reason, and the reason is that women's basketball needs to grow, and it's not just segmenting it in a way. Basketball in general needs to grow, but they have really great board members. They have some skill sets and some expertise that the basketball community needs to tap into, because they are there as resources, but more than anything, they are willing to help. A little bit more than me. I think like we're a little bit more selfish than they are in terms of helping the game grow. So you're doing great work. I hope this AGM tomorrow goes well, depending on what the feedback is. I know that the communication will be clear. So we follow, we support, and we donate. And that's the way they roll.
But you know, more importantly, Q, is that if it's just a men's sport, it's half its potential. So if you combine the two, you're doubling it up almost immediately. And that for me is what's key to basketball right now. I don't see anybody here wanting to play netball as a guy, but in basketball you can have both. And you have to accept and admit that this is the only way to go. The only thing that I would like to suggest, and I suppose this show, that's what it's about, is that you have to have the training in place. You know, we think we know how to build associations. We think we understand constitutions, how governance works. We have to know, in fact, we have to train people. Otherwise, we'll never be able to grow this thing that we're passionate about when we actually don't understand how to do it. And it all starts with governance.
That's a great point. And, you know, I think we have, again, been really lucky that in the beginning we had a bunch of people to reach out to, including people who sit in netball federations, you know, that have an interest in basketball, that we could reach out to about issues of governance and constitutionality and that sort of thing. So that's been the great thing, is that we've had women from all different sectors reach out to us and really assist us in understanding what good governance looks like.
Right. Wow. Man, I don't know what to say, man. This is how we shut down the show. This is exactly how, yo, Juice, you got something?
No, I'm really happy, you know. And for me, one of the most important things that Coach Bumi mentioned is, as chairperson, you have surrounded yourself with a capable team. A team that is selfless in their skills, a team that continues and is willing to build, regardless of who is in charge. So for me, that's very important, that any structure, within corporate, within basketball and sport, whatever, the moment you are ahead of anything, you need to have people around you that are capable. And that makes the job easier and it leads to efficiency. And so for me, that was one of the most important things. So hats off again and looking forward to it.
My man Juice, the
That's right,
DJ
right.
in the bottom.
I mean, hey.
My man Q,
Hey.
the serious man.
Hey.
What do you mean? Where did I get that tag from? How does this roll?
The chair lady, the chairperson
Chairperson.
of SAWBA, South African Women Basketball Association, ladies and gentlemen. This was Kebby signing out. This is the Catalyst. We are here at the Catalyst. Cashew, but before that, we gotta show you a little something.
What just happened? What just happened here? Why is this happening?
We're about to go down with the get down.
Why would you do that?
It was a trap.
Listen, let me tell you this. Basketball is about lifestyle. This right here is the lifestyle.
It's the lifestyle.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, we all
Off
from
the court,
school.
when you're not playing and you're not a player and you're not involved in athlete activities.
And not for you young people. You need to
there we
focus.
go.
You need to go out there and play your best and play for the National Basketball League or whatever the case may be or whatever. Go for Olympics like you said.
This
You
better
wanted
be
them.
sprite.
Is there anything that you want to say? Your website? How people can get in touch with you before
Yeah,
we like shut
absolutely.
this thing down?
So the best place to get in touch with us is on our website. It's SAWBA. .co.za.
SAWBA, South African Women Basketball Association.co.za or .coza. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And
So get in touch with us, man. We really are excited to have more people come on board,
Right.
to really have more people donate and give of themselves to the organization.
so, audience, if you're not going to donate, at least become a member. I mean, like, that's the least we can ask of all you. So go to the website, click on that become a member button, and then become a member. And then when you get your millions and you play Lotto, just throw a little 10% there. Let the game of basketball grow. And this is what the Brig is about.
Yeah, but also follow us on all our socials. So it's SA Women's Basketball on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Woo! They're so ahead, man. You know, I need to follow up. I need to get into those socials and do the follow. Anyway, this is Kevin OQ. You good, man?
I'm
Should we
good.
shut this thing?
I'm lovely.
You good, man?
Juice is the happiest guy.
Man.
Juice is contrain.
I've got a salad in my
No more
glass.
drinks at the show. Anyway, this has been Kevin, my man Q, my man Juice, and our beautiful lady Mpumi. We signing out at the Catalyst. Next time you're around, you may come check them out. Check out their website, thecatalyst.co.za. Peace. We out. Salute.
Yeah.